to everyone. Okay, good. Yes, good evening to everyone and welcome to Real Talk, our social media program hosted every Monday. And, it's always a pleasure to be with you. It's a information window of the United Workers Party and part of our efforts in reaching, young people and the social media savvy persons. And it's always a pleasure to be with you and to be, at least transferring information and being a source of information with respect to the issues that plague us on a daily basis. And so we want to thank everyone who has already tuned in. Our apologies for the just late start.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we are. Yes, certainly, and you're bright.
Can you hear us?
Yeah. Yes, I was trying another phone.
Very good. You look immaculately conspicuous, and we must see.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
We were actually just starting off, so I was just welcoming the program into the environment, the social media environment, and we want to say good afternoon to everyone. With us today, we have a special guest with us today, and no stranger to Dominica, but a special guest in a different arena. And so we are very proud to have Miss Martha Augustus with us, the Roseau South declared candidate, and she will be with us for the next hour. And we have also a esteemed political leader, Dr. Thomson Fontaine, who has always been with us all the time. And so, Martha, welcome. Let me welcome you. Normally, we have a little chit chat, and we actually just, allow our guests to just, welcome our guest and to say something of interest. So, an introductory remark to you, right away to the ball. We go right away. What do you have to say to the listeners? I know you're excited to be here. And by the way, congratulations on your declaration as the candidate for Roseau South. I heard you big time. I heard you, social media heard you, a lot of persons, and all the person that hearing is Roseau South, Roseau South, Roseau South, and that is very good. Roseau South has to be alive and well. And so far, it has been resonating. So, you are here with us tonight. A little intro from you. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah. I'm not sure if you hear me clearly. I keep going in and out. I hear the sound in and out.
Yeah, go ahead.
But if you can hear me, I want to say good. I want to say good night to everyone tuned in. And for those of you who are not yet familiar with me, I am Martha Augustus, the UWP candidate for the Roseau South constituency. I'm very happy to be here on Real Talk this evening, together with Soso and our party leader, Dr. Thomson Fontaine. Thank you.
Wow, you sound clear, yes, this is it. This is the kind of spirit. Come on, Doc. You've heard Martha, and just in your intro, I sure you'd like to say something before we actually give the listeners an idea as to what we're going to talk about tonight. Your opening remarks.
Oh, absolutely. To say good night to our listeners, and of course, special good night to Martha. It's great to have you with us on Real Talk as you make your initial, I would suspect your initial foray into social media. It's good to have you on board. Good to have you as part of the team for a very important constituency, the Roseau South constituency, among probably one of the largest constituencies that we have. Now we have been having a little bit of problems earlier with the connection for Martha, so we just have to hope that she's gone again. So we hope that she's able to join us again. But it's good that we're able to have her, and hopefully when she comes back on, it can be uninterrupted. But let's see.
Yes, certainly. Tonight we will be speaking of, we'll be touching on some of the pertinent issues that we have been plagued with. For instance, we're going to talk about, electoral office and what is happening here, some of complaints that we have been receiving, and also we'll touch an area in the health sector. We'll ask Martha a few questions and she will be able to respond appropriately. And so, Doc, I know that we, over the past couple of weeks and months, and possibly, well, it's not a year yet, since the introduction of the confirmation period, we have been having teething issues with the electoral office, and a number of the issues we have brought to the fore, and we have gotten them to at least respond to a few of the complaints, and so far they have done some good with respect to adjusting where necessary. But it seems that as we go on and on and on, new complaints are being evolved and are evolving, and a lot of persons are concerned about what is going on. One such recent complaint that we have had or we are receiving is that persons who are actually registering new registration, they are having issues with some residency requirement, or if not, they are just turned back without reason. And I'm sure you are going to lead the discussion on this to tell us what has been happening, because we have had a few persons going to register. They've come from overseas from studies, and they have been told that they cannot be registered. So, Doc, having said that, what can you tell us about this aspect of the law relating to persons who are actually on study and persons who are on diplomatic missions?
Yes, so I was trying to bring up the relevant
law
part of the legislation, but it came as a huge shock to me personally today to learn that at least two students studying abroad returned on the summer vacation. They went in to register for the very first time, and their registrations were rejected by the electoral office. Now, the electoral office apparently rejected their application on the strength that they were not residing in Dominica. But the law is very clear. The legislation is very clear that students and diplomats are treated as if they were always in Dominica. And it says that bona fide students who are studying abroad are considered to be residents in their family's home address. So in other words, their parents' home serves as their address, and they never, to put it another way, the residency criteria does not apply to students and to diplomats. And you'd think that the electoral office would know that. And the question then becomes why it is that the electoral office is trying to disenfranchise first-time voters. I've never heard anything like this. Before you would just go in and register as a first-time voter. You're Dominican, just turned 18, you're going in to register for the very first time, and your registration and your application is being denied by the electoral office. And in this case, the individuals are known United Workers' Party insiders and supporters. And it seems to me that that is a deliberate attempt by electoral office to continue to interfere with the voting process here in Dominica. And that is quite simply unacceptable.
Martha, you have heard it. What's your reaction to this?
This is very unfortunate, because it shows clear victimization of the process, and for the citizens of Dominica that are being
disenfranchised is the word. That's what it is. Because
I was just
I got for the first time and told they cannot register. I've never heard anything like this. This is madness.
Yes, and I'm happy that you brought it up, Martha, because it is interesting that over the past month we have been having TV issues with the process, with the confirmation process, and look, right now we are now getting news that new registrants are having an issue with respect to students who are coming back to register and are being denied. It appears that either this is just malicious or people don't know the law. It could be just malicious or they don't know the law. And what I do know is that if you are working in the electoral office, or a matter of fact, in any institution, you're supposed to be trained prior to taking up the job, which means that I can fully say that they are aware, but why could they continue to discriminate and to disenfranchise Dominicans? And so this is a very serious issue, and that I'm hoping that the Electoral Commission can not just make adjustment to that, but stop this outright discrimination and outright what they call discrimination and awfulness that is happening at the electoral office. Doc?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is unacceptable, like you said. An electoral office need to fix that and fix that right away. They also should apologize to the persons who have been impacted. Imagine your first-time voter trying to get onto the voting rolls and your application has been denied. And not only that, the electoral office actually writes to the parents of one of the students, almost insinuating that they were doing something illegal. They were trying to
Wow.
defraud the electoral office. I
Wow.
find that to be beyond comprehension. It's a very simple
This,
thing. As a student, you're considered to be a resident of Dominica 365 days of the year, as long as you can prove that you're a bona fide student. In that case, in one of the instances, the student is studying at the university in Barbados, UE. He's a student at UE. So that is not even something you can say, well, the person was living there. It does not matter. They went to UE to study. They're back in Dominican vacation. They have a right to be on the voters list because they've turned the age of 18. And so, we continue to fight in the electoral office, and it's clear. So some of the issues that we've seen, we had the issue of the duplication of the names, for example. And then they said it's some software glitch. Well, if it's a software glitch, surely the same people that are looking to reject people's applications should have seen that people's names were appearing 2 or 3 times. But
Yeah.
the
that's
biggest
right.
concern we have in all of this is that this electoral office, has taken upon itself to do something what I believe to be illegal. We are still trying to get the legal basis for it, but they have removed the addresses of individuals. So before, you would
Wow.
be like 40 Libla Lane or 20 Stevens Street or whatever. They have removed that. So everybody now is just Goodwill or Roseau. Goodwill or
Wow.
Roseau. They have removed the place of residence on the voters list. That is something from the time we started the process many, many years ago, decades ago. The names of persons residing in Portsmouth, in Roseau, in Wales, in Goodwill, those names appeared with addresses because people have named addresses and they have removed it. So that we're going to challenge. We'll be certainly mounting a legal challenge against this because that should not be allowed to stand.
Yes.
I,
And
th-
so
I
before
think
we go,
everything is deliberate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
yeah,
not by
I
accident.
Yeah, I think everything is a deliberate designed strategy, to have a negative impact on the voters in relation to the supporters of the UWP party and any other person, as a matter of fact, because it makes absolutely no sense. Why would you remove the address specified on the voters list? Too many things seem to be not right. You know, even if the birth paper that there's no paper available at the time for such a long time. I've never heard that in the history of Dominica. I mean, this is certainly by design, in my opinion. I went to try and confirm someone who wanted to transfer, and they also have stopped the transferring process as well. So a lot of things that seem to be is not, and there is a very sad time in our history.
yes. And I'm happy that you brought it up. And the word deliberate, we should underline that strongly because it's very true. And just before we shift gears to the health aspect of our discussion, let me just remind the electoral office that under new registration, as the law stipulates, and it stipulates it clearly, that once you have new persons registered who have attained the age of 18 or new voter, that person is supposed to meet residency requirement. A residency requirement means for 3 months. You're supposed to be residing for 3 months in the place. However, this is exempt. You have diplomats and students are exempt from this residency requirement. And so if you have not known that before, or if you are playing, or if you are doing mischievous things and doing things intentionally and deliberately, we are telling you to stop this practice and follow the law. No one should breach the law.
Yeah, and the final thing I would say on that so is the fact that they are bending over backwards to keep on the voters list individuals who have left Dominica, some of them for 40, 45, 50 years. They're bending over backwards to keep those individuals on the voters list. But a young person whose parents are still in Dominica, who is just away temporarily on study, they have been denied access to the voters list. This is madness.
Madness.
And it's only where you're trying to manipulate some kind of result that you get those things. But quite frankly, this electoral office is incompetent, and we need to really bring back the former chief electoral officer, Mr. Anthony, because this current group is clearly incompetent from what we are seeing. All of those mistakes that they're making, the fact that up to now we cannot get any voter IDs, no one has received their voter ID cards. They claim that initially the first ones had problems, they had to send them back. So it's costing the government. It looks like just a bumbling group of people there at the electoral office, bent on doing the work of the government of Dominica, or the Labour Party, I would say, and not working in the best interest of the Dominican public. And that is what we get when you politicize a process that should be completely apolitical, devoid of any political interference. But some people are trying to please their masters, and that's exactly what we're seeing tonight. And that has to stop. That cannot continue.
So we are going to move to our second segment, but just before that, Doug, I just remember to, while we're on this, that let me remind the electoral office again that River Breeze is an apartment complex. And River Breeze, in its apartment complex nature, has what you call numbers on the apartment. And what they have been doing recently is to register person and put in River Breeze. That is unacceptable. You must put the person's apartment number. So when we are going to verify the names, we know that we are going to a certain apartment to verify whether that person lives there or not. So that is where we are going with these things, but we will deal with that accordingly, and we will do what we have to do. But lady and gentlemen, gentle lady and our gentle man there, our political leader, we have been seeing recently, and we have heard many complaints with respect to our health situation in Dominica, our health sector. I mean, all is not well. We know that all is not well. Everybody can boast about a state-of-the-art hospital. I am not one who believes in a state-of-the-art building and not the state-of-the-art service and all the amenities that should make it right for good health care. I believe in good primary health care, and I believe in secondary health care and so forth, tertiary health care. Fair enough. That is okay. But the situation at the Princess Margaret Hospital, as it were there, that we have limited supplies, patients are being, sometimes in most respect, not being able to get what they deserve with respect to being treated. And so we are plagued with a number of issues with respect to the health sector. And by the way, as we on that, let's just commend the nurses who work very hard and the doctors and all the staff at the hospital and the respective health centers who are trying their best. Who are trying their best with limited resources and operating under adverse conditions. We have recently heard the minister, or former minister, I think now is the current ambassador to Dominica for Cuba. And he's made a statement some time ago, Doc. I don't know if you have that statement stand by. But we are going to listen to that statement. And then, Martha, I would like you to react to the statement. You have it, Doc?
No, I did not queue it up, unfortunately.
Okay, good. But don't worry, I think Martha has done quite a lot. Martha is a person who is, of course, obviously, Okua with the news and updated. You have heard the minister talking about some kind of insurance that is in place, some kind of health system that is in place. And one of the things he's saying is that Dominicans have good health care because whenever they sick, the prime minister is able to fly them out. And, our political leader, and with respect to our 10-pillar plan, we have been talking about a national insurance scheme. And he's saying, Pala, that can happen. Pala for Dominicans. But for them, it's okay. They can fly out Dominica when they want. Because the Prime Minister is on record in your constituency, by the way, at Newtown some time ago, stating that if something happens to he and his family, they can be flown out. But who are you? Where are you? What is there for you? So I can understand how a former minister could say the Prime Minister is taking care of you, and the Prime Minister on another side saying that when something happens to him and his family, he can be flown out, they can be flown out, and the people cannot be flown out. Martha, your reaction to this statement and a general comment on the health sector in Dominica.
Thank you, Soso. I found that statement by Mr. Douglas to be ridiculous. I mean, comical and totally irresponsible to take healthcare of Dominicans for a joke. In my opinion, that's a joke. And healthcare is a serious business. And it also shows based on his utterances that the DLP, the Dominican Labour Party, would lack accountability after 25 years for Dominicans, because we deserve a better health system, a better systemic healthcare system. And definitely I look forward to doing so under the leadership of Dr. Thomson Fontaine. But for me to really express that, I need to define healthcare in my understanding and from my studies. So healthcare, as it's interpreted, is an organized maintenance, restoration of improvement of physical and mental health. Okay, it relies on prevention, on diagnosis, on treatment and recovery services delivered by trained individuals. And that is as of the World Health Organization for what healthcare means. It's really a state of complete physical and mental and social well-being, not just the absence of disease. So for Mr. Douglas to speak of someone can walk up the steps of the financial center to get help, to be flown out of Dominica, it shows that we're not prepared. We're not prepared. Flying a patient overseas for emergency treatment is not the same as providing quality health care, right? Or even health insurance. It's certainly an admission that the required care is unavailable at home. And so I would not even make that statement, because it's saying that we don't have that systemic order back in our country, and that shows failure upon the government after 25 plus years. That should not even be something that should be uttered. That's shameful. Healthcare is about accessing health before crisis, right? Good healthcare means people can receive timely diagnosis, treatment, surgery, medication, and the likes, and we need those special type of care in Dominica / with the trained individuals. Not only after the condition becomes life-threatening that we need healthcare, we need healthcare prior to that. And what Mr. Douglas is saying, that healthcare, the healthcare that his government is giving is a ticket to get outside of Dominica to access healthcare. I mean, this is really a joke. Honestly, I would ask Mr. Douglas to really look into the definition of healthcare rather than uttering those unconfounded or that kind of unconfounded expression. I also think that health insurance, because what he's saying is also indicating that it's a health insurance. Okay, that type of healthcare is a health insurance, and certainly health insurance is not an airplane ticket. Okay, health insurance is a financial protection system that helps people pay for preventative care by their doctors and the visits to their doctors, to the hospitals, for surgeries, for medication, for medical help and expenses, okay? For paying for emergencies, to evac somebody when they're sick, and a comprehensive health insurance. So this is what health insurance is all about. It's not about walking up the step and get a plane ticket, okay? In emergency cases, and he spoke of in emergency, anybody who's having an emergency evacuation is a last resort. It's a last resort. So why are we thinking that we need to walk up? And I need to stress on that for Dominicans to understand that an emergency, what if I'm not able to, or my family is not able to be flown out of the country in that emergency situation? Because you should have there could be a situation where someone has a blood clot, okay? And because of the difference in the atmosphere, then you're not able, you have to be stabilized before you can be flown out. Right. So what is going to happen to that patient, even if they get a ticket to be airlifted elsewhere? They might just stay there and die. So what we need is a proper healthcare system in Dominica that affords us to be able to be treated here. You know, granted, there are some things that probably need more intervention that we may not have, but the basic necessities should be here, which affords us that kind of treatment. And many illnesses are not emergencies. Many illnesses are not emergencies. So people suffering from for example, cancer, kidney disease, heart diseases, diabetics, and they need diagnostic tests. They need diagnostic tests and they need ongoing care. So are we going to be flown out every time that you need to see somebody who suffers with kidney failure? Are they going to be flown out every time they need to be dialyzed? No, everything should be here so that we can access our treatment right here in Dominica. So flying someone out after emergency does not address that everyday healthcare need that we so require in Dominica. A strong healthcare system saves lives, definitely, before they become emergencies. A strong healthcare system, it will save lives before they become an emergency. So why wait for the emergency, then to walk up to the financial center to get a ticket to be flown out? This makes no sense. I would really encourage Mr. Douglas to revisit his statement, because we're not, I think we are wise enough in Dominica to be able to understand some of those utterances. It makes absolutely no sense. It saddens me that we make a joke out of things so important as healthcare. Okay, so we need better equipped the hospital. We need better equipped. We need more trained specialists. We don't need our trained doctors to be leaving Dominica and go and find greener grass elsewhere. We need them here to give us the better healthcare we need. Because in some cases, I know of some citizens, Dominicans, live in Dominica for better healthcare, and guess what? Who is caring for them? A Dominican doctor, a Dominican physician. He should not be across the water doing that. He should be right here being able to provide that service to our citizens. And this is healthcare. This is better healthcare. This is what healthcare is. And this is what I am looking forward to under the United Workers' Party, to put things in place that will allow, as we heard Dr. Thomson speaks of one of the pillars, one of his 10 pillars, the healthcare, better healthcare and healthcare insurance, which works out to cover every citizen of Dominica. Whether you have money or not, you should have access to better healthcare, not for a selected few. Okay, so Mr. Douglas, revisit your statement. Understand what healthcare is. Don't make fun of serious concerns like that, serious issues like that we're experiencing in Dominica. Think about what you say before what you say. And after 26 years, 25 years, we should not be flown out because of an emergency. We should have our physicians here taking care of us right here in Dominica. So, for example, also we have the financial and emotional burden that remains after that, after they are flown out. Even if the transportation is covered, the patient and their families may still face things like accommodation costs, loss of income, separation from their loved ones, and stress while receiving treatment abroad because they're not home. This is a psychological effect or impact on a patient, not being home, not being around their family members. They may be flown out, but how many family members can be flown with them where they are? How does it impact their how does it impact their health to get back to a better health? You know, and I'm trying to say it as simple so that the ordinary Dominican can understand that. So a plane ticket is not health insurance. It is not health insurance. It is a sign that the healthcare service people need is unavailable at home, Mr. Douglas. That's what it is. That's what it's saying. It's saying that it's unavailable. So the goal of any responsible government should be to build a healthcare system where more Dominicans receive quality treatment in Dominica, and where health insurance projects protects everyone, not walking up the stairs to the financial center to get a ticket to be flown out. Okay? What do you think about that, Mr. Soso?
Oh, yes, definitely. In fact, you are so powerful. In fact, I was allowing you to just flow because you have been powerful, decisive, and I'm getting some good reviews there. We're already hearing that. Well said, Martha. Great job. Very good explanation. Well said, my girl. Good job. It's like people are getting it. And I'm happy that you're able to bring some sort of sanity to that discussion, because I know for a fact that whenever there's let's say, a healthcare or what you call a health insurance system, there's supposed to be collaboration between what you call the insurance company and government, and also to pharmacies. So there's supposed to be a tripartite sort of relationship between pharmacies, pharmacies, the health insurance, and the government. So if there was such thing happening, then I'm sure you are pharmacist by profession. In fact, I should be calling you Dr. Augustus. I know that for a fact. Not any doctor. I know you can call you doctor. I know about these things. I know about this profession, and for sure. But here what is happening? You have been running a pharmacy. Have you ever seen a patient or Dominican come to you with a form stating that an insurance has indicated that person to go to a pharmacy and to get some sort of prescription approved based on the fact that some money will be sent from government? I sure you have not seen that.
I've never seen that. I have worked with that actually outside of Dominica. I've worked with that in Barbados, in Antigua, where the medical benefit system allows that to happen. So most of the patients, if you're not able to find a particular medication at the hospital, which is a hospital drug, then you can go to the private pharmacies. That program is set up that the private pharmacy would dispense the medication to you, and the government system in return will reimburse the pharmacy. And this is part of proper health care, because when the patient leaves the hospital, or their loved one is in the hospital and the family has to come to the retail and private pharmacies, then they're going to have to pay for it out of their pocket. If the system is a proper healthcare system, then it allows for that family member to come to the pharmacy. You come with a prescription, and we fill that prescription, and the government in return provides the benefit to reimburse the pharmacy for that patient. This is what is called part of proper health care. Of course, because now the patient is going to be laying there at the hospital, the meds are not available, it's not available at the hospital, it may not be available at the private pharmacy, and then sometimes we as the private pharmacies have to source that medication outside of Dominica as quick as possible to prevent death. And this is what is very sad, because in my practice, I see many life-saving drugs that are necessary and not available. And to get it in a timely fashion to the patient while they're in hospital is sometimes not possible. And it's really painful. When I come across those cases, it's truly really painful. We should have the basic life-threatening meds stocked in the hospital, in the government system, to allow that.
Yes, and yes, thank you very much for this again. There's a lot of clarity with tonight's discussion, because you are trained medical professional, and we know that a lot is expected of you, and so far you are doing a great job. And something else you spoke about with respect to how we would attain good health care is that, and we know for a fact that we may not have a lot of specialist doctors in Dominica. We have a lot, but not the amount that we require. And so you were talking about a situation whereby somebody is not stable and that person cannot be flown out. And I'm happy that you make the distinction between just buying a ticket and a medical, an insurance system. Yes. And that was very clear. So therefore now, as it was brought out this idea about someone who is not stable but is undergoing some near fatal sort of episode, and it would be in the interest of probably a good health system or a good national insurance scheme to ensure that some retainer doctor can be consulted over the line. We call it telemedicine. And right. So in some cases, you'll be experiencing, like for instance, I think we had an experience when Dr. Sam Christian had his episode with respect to his injury. And I believe Dr. Dil Dangeben was able to stay overseas in Philadelphia where he's working as a doctor, trained specialist, and was able to direct and to give advice with the doctors who were available taking care of Dr. Sam Christian. And they were able to stabilize him for flying out flying out of Dominica. So that in a sense to make sense because you may not have all the expertise available, so you want to have what you call telemedicine sort of aspect where you could call persons who know about the situation that is happening right now, stay on the telephone, communicate with your next medical person, and to have this person, instruct and give direction as to how you do. So you have already brought other things. So I want you to just talk on this a bit and to tell us if that makes sense and how it's benefiting patients in a situation like what you have said there.
Of course, this is a great point. It's a great observation. In the era that we are right now, everything is online with all the robotics, because even in my time of working within the United States, when you work in the hospital, you have a few specialists who are not available at the hospital at the time. They're located in another state. And so they have that robotic medication thing going on. So the doctor would be, for example, in state A, and he would communicate with us in state B and treat the patient right there, whether it's a life-threatening situation or not, but able to walk through the treatment process with the other healthcare providers. And I think this would be definitely a great addition to our healthcare in Dominica, because as I said, you may have a patient who is unable to be flown. They have to be stabilized. And we've seen in many cases where a patient was not able to be flown, and so they died, and that is a sad situation. So in this case, if we have the telecommunication going on, we can link with even our own doctors who are specialists over, whether it's in Europe, in the Americas, and they're able to communicate. There is no barrier in our language, and so they're able to clearly communicate how we can stabilize that patient until whatever measures need to be taken afterwards. So this is what we call good healthcare, Mr. Douglas. It is not a ticket. It is not a joke. No, I'm serious. This is not a joke. It is not a joke about what. I mean, this is ridiculous. You want to debate on something, and this is the point that you're using. You're making a joke out of a live situation. It could be something it could be a family member, someone close to you. This is not a joke. Let's take this thing serious when it comes to health care. It is a serious. If the nation is not healthy, nothing can happen. We're not growing. There's no production. So let us get serious about health care, Mr. Douglas. And I think you should really revisit what you say and even make a statement if you're being funny, but you don't make jokes with such a situation.
Yes, and I know, Doc, you want to chime in on that, but let me just take a few comments, and then you will just, because you've heard Martha very explicit, very decisive, and she's coming out over very coherent, and she's just making the point, and everybody's liking it. And somebody saying Martha is on the ball. Mr. Douglas, or I like to say Ian Douglas' statement was utter rubbish and foolishness. Good night to all. Somebody saying, I can't wait for the UW to take office. Next day will be a holiday. So you see the kind of joy. You see, people are already starting to feel the wave, the blue wave of change. And even if Martha was present, people are starting to feel, she's just talking it, but healthcare is already transformed already. Doc, what are you saying?
I could not agree with Martha more. We have a situation where this government, after 27 years, you have a situation where the health situation in this country has actually deteriorated. In other words, our health situation in Dominica is far worse than it was going as far back as probably in the 1970s. In fact, I was boasting to somebody some time ago that in 1979, after the May uprising, 9 individuals got shot. 9 individuals got shot, and only 1 person died. because the hospital in 1979 was able to have operations and save the life, including a young boy, a young SMA boy who was shot in the head.
Wow.
And they were able to save 8 of the 9 persons who got shot that day. Wow. And I'm thinking if something like that would have happened today, more than likely all 9 would succumb. That is how far we have come, how far down under the Labour Party our health system has deteriorated. So when a very senior member of the Labour government talks like that, it tells you that these guys are not serious about Dominica. They're not serious about the health of the people. They're not serious about what's going on in this country. And all the more reason why we have to vote them out. All the more reason why Dominicans have to say, man, it's time to get people in this government who are serious about their lives, who will take who will put some value on their lives. Because it is a fact, Soso, that, and Martha, that scores of Dominicans have lost their lives because of the poor health care system in this country. Scores of Dominicans who otherwise would have survived have lost their lives because of that poor system. And there is no insurance scheme. And so we have announced publicly that we'll have a national health insurance scheme. And this government, who has never thought about it, never had any intention of doing any such thing, suddenly are trying to, sow some kind of confusion in people's minds, saying, well, we already have it. I mean, you don't make jokes about these things, and it shows the fact that these guys are totally unserious and that we need to get rid of them. I can't say it any differently. We need to get rid of the Labour Party government.
Yes, Martha, you were saying something?
As Dr. Thomson spoke of that health insurance, it just reminded me the few years back when the Prime Minister stood up on the campaign in Newtown and spoke of the health. He has insurance, his family, they can be flown out, and I'm wondering, I'm telling myself, are Dominicans really listening to that statement? Because it sounds to me that the Prime Minister at that time is the opposition. His team is the opposition, saying that you don't have insurance. No, I'm coming in to give you insurance. And that has been it was about 20, how many years, 23 years or whatever. And you're making it look like, what's happening to you guys? You guys don't have insurance. I have, and I can fly out anytime. I can fly with my family. No, you're the one there responsible for putting such a program in place for the citizens of Dominica. And Dominicans are not standing firm enough to say this is nonsense. This is like really nonsense. You're here to serve the people, to put in place what is best required for your people, and you're telling me that you have insurance and I don't, and I must clap at that. No, you should have already had that insurance in place while you were even thinking of yourself and your family. Dominicans should have been thought of at the same time, and it's very shameful. I must say it's very shameful. It's disheartening to hear statements like that being made.
Yes, and someone is saying there again that, the lady knows what she's talking about. Very good point. And someone say, I went to the eye specialist, just to strengthen our point, that I went to the eye specialist and the doctor was virtual with an aid. Imagine that. So here we are with the kind of vibe to boost our health system. Some people saying they suffer so much under this current regime and it's time for them to go. Good evening, patriotic families, hosts and guests listening. And so, Doc, I know with the 10-pillar plan, we know that the budget is almost ready to make it, what happened, 26 wrong? And we must understand it too, that when these guys came in government, they met the national debt at $382 million thereabout. It is right now unjustified to be $1.2 billion.
4 times.
4 times, yeah. And one will open his eyes and say, I'm not seeing value for money. And we're all not seeing value for money. But yet they will come again with a budget, with a $1 point something billion, and hardly been spent, because it's one thing to present a budget estimate, but it's another thing to evaluate the budget spent and to see what is actually spent against what was forecasted. And so I know they are trying already to steal some of the ideas we have with respect to shared prosperity for all. And we also say that there's a correlation between shared prosperity for all and shared responsibility, because Dominicans will have to put their hands to the wheel to have shared responsibility in work so that we can have shared prosperity for all. So we are going to put Dominicans to work, and they themselves going to do it. But I know that the budget has not been read. There's a date. And I know as an economist, you have been hearing again, Ian Douglas again on his case tonight. And he doesn't seem to understand that we have to do things for people. Some time ago, we heard about can corn beef, can what they call it, can sardine, can whatever. As we never know this thing to be in plastic. However, it was just for words. They wanted to fool the budget with narratives, and so they call it can this, can that. But Doc, objectively and seriously, what is the anticipation of this year's anticipated budget estimate? And how do we see, because for sure we will respond to it, but how do you see this budget doing nothing like the others have done nothing before? That is not even a question, but I just wanted to put it in perspective for us.
Well, this government has been extraordinarily lucky in the sense that they have really been able to swim downstream on the largesse of the CBI. For example, last year's budget of roughly $1 billion, $600 million of that was going to come from the CBI. All right, so you are funding your recurrent spending and so on from CBI. In most countries, you fund that from your tax revenues. You have a tax regime that is fairly robust, that is fair, of course, and your economy is growing. You're making higher taxes, and you're able to do that. But we have a situation where 60% of government revenues is on the account of the CBI. Oh. We know for a fact that this year, the CBI has taken a serious knock in the sense that, and what we know is evidence from St. Kitts and Nevis and Antigua, where the government have actually informed the people that they have had serious reductions, like in St. Kitts, as much as 40% reduction in the CBI revenues. So we expect a similar thing in Dominica. I want to see whether this budget is still going to have a $600 million estimate for the CBI for next year. Because it seems to me that any kind of program that you're thinking of must, at this juncture, take into consideration the fact that the CBI is dwindling, that the CBI will never be at the same level that it used to be in the past, and that you have to start taking contingency measures. So I would have liked to see a budget that focuses on generating economic growth within the country, so that we can now change that metric of that heavy dependence on CBI to depending more upon our efforts to raise revenues. The other thing that is very important on the United Workers' Party and the Dominica, the Freedom Party, Dominica used to get at least 25% in grants, of its funding in grants. So you have your tax, your what you call domestic revenues. In those years, it was mainly tax revenues. Now we have CBI, that's your domestic revenues. Then you have the tax, as we said, okay, and then you have you have grants, and then you have loans. Right now, a lot of the governments before, like UWP and Freedom, they were getting a lot of grants, at least as much as 25% of those. That grant level has fallen under this government to less than 5%.
Oh my God!
So effectively, what that means is that they have had to add significantly to the loan component of the financing of the budget, and that's the reason why you have such huge levels of debt, increased by 400% from where it was when the Labour Party took office in 2000. So you have a situation where I don't see a way out of that. This government is going to continue to borrow and borrow heavily, and especially now that the CBI is on decline, the grants already declining. So it means now, and with the tax revenues, Dominicans are already overtaxed. We are maxed out on taxes. We cannot, there's nothing more that can come out of Dominicans as far as paying the government taxes is concerned. And so it seems to me that we're going to see another spike in our debt levels, another more evidence that this government has failed the people of Dominica, more evidence of incompetence, more evidence that they simply do not know what they're about. Even after 25 years, you would think that, sometimes you enter into something, right? And you're a novice, but over time you learn, like a car. When you first step into the car, everything looks new and strange, a clutch, a handbrake, and you have to learn to use those things. You're new. But after a few, practices and so on, you get better. And over time, and after 10 years, you're a pro. You can drive with your hands, on the window and relax and so on, because you know what you're doing. But this government seems to have never learned. Even after 27 years, you'd think that by now there would have been some kind of experience factor that would have rubbed off on these people. But they're clueless, even after 27 years, absolutely clueless. And that's the reason why our country continues to move from bad to worse. That's the reason why we have a failing health system, a failing education system, where we continue to have tax upon tax, where we continue to have some of the highest cost of living situations in any country in the Eastern Caribbean. The reason why we continue to have such escalating poverty, the reason why we continue to have our young people running away from Dominica, seeking solace anywhere else but Dominica, ABD, anywhere but Dominica. That's what most Dominicans have. Young people, if you ask them what their qualifications are, they say ABD. That's a qualification. So it is really unfortunate that is what we are passing as a government. They simply have not learned. And this is a real test for that with this budget cycle. So I want to see. I suspect they pushed it into August. We've never had an August budget because the year ends on the 30th of June every year, the fiscal year. So they are a month and a week late. And you wonder if it is because they're trying to make some last minute adjustments. But again, the level of incompetence is such that I'm expected to see a budget riddled with errors and inconsistencies.
Yes, and after I want to react, but before that, I want to speak on a point Dr. Thomson Fontaine has actually echoed and expressed. And as you talk about the learning curve, and we know about the efficiency curve, and as you get better at what you do it over and over again. It's supposed to be a pro, as you said, and it seems to me that they're not learning. And I can understand how somebody could be in government, leading a government for how many years now, and still has still not mastered the way to do things and to manage this country. So what we are saying at this time, we don't want a good politician, we want a good manager, and we have this in Dr. Thomson Fontaine and his United Workers' Party team to actually celebrate and to bring economic prosperity to the people of Dominica. Someone say they're listening from ticks and kickers. I stayed up just to listen to Martha. Power meets power. Workers all the way. No health, no wealth. That is true. No wealth, no wealth. Martha, you're on fire today. Yes, and someone said, my good friend Owen Prosper. Owen, how are you now, man? I have to give you a visit. Good evening, patriotic families, especially host and guests. I'm listening, and he's saying also that, this guy, Carrot, Prime Minister of Dominica, is a compulsive liar. Everything that he says, he really doesn't mean anything that he says. Nothing comes out from his mouth doesn't matter to anybody. And we are saying okay. Right. So, yes, we had that. But, Martha, you've heard the political leader stated that, it's not nothing much that we expect to see coming from this budget that is going to be presented just under a week again. And we have seen, and we will witness a decline in the revenues of CBI, obviously, because we're under pressure with the Americans with this. And the reason why we're already under, Doc, and we always forget to say that, we're already under pressure with these guys, So we cannot go to England We are going. In fact, somebody just called me and told me this afternoon there, I was on a chat with the person. And the person told me that they passed immigration already last week. They came in, they gave them a month initially. And then now the person's sister is calling her to tell her, that person, that look, they say they only give them 7 more days. So I don't know, big guy, I don't know. And just say, and I'm trying to verify that, and yet person told me, yes, that's what she was told. So in 7 more days, she had planned for a month, but in 7 more days, she has to leave the United States. So that's why we are under pressure. So my friend, I've heard all of these things, and I just wanted to interwoven all of what is being said with respect to what you believe, what you perceive that budget is going to be. Because healthcare, for instance, over the couple of years, I've done the analysis. Over 10 years, we have seen a decline in the amount of money applied to the allocated to the healthcare system. And not only that, even if monies were allocated at the end of the exercise, even monies allocated will actually slash in half again. So we have never really realized the true budget allocation, more far less for the budget spending for that ministry. So your own perspective on this.
You're right, Soso. I am just prepared to listen because I have never seen anything came to fruition over the years that I've been listening to the budget and what is allocated to the healthcare sector. I really haven't seen anything. So I am hoping that I see something. I'm hoping to hear something. I know I might get something from the 10 pillar, including the healthcare plan under Dr. Thomson Fontaine, what we are looking for. And I'm just waiting to hear because I am not thinking anything positive is going to come out here. Just as the utterances of Mr. Douglas, I think I am going to be hearing the same thing. So I'm not looking forward to anything as powerful as I would expect it to be.
Yes, and just to support you, I just got a text there. A young person is saying, well, so good afternoon to you. You all are doing a great job with the political leader and Martha on stream now. She's elated. She's eager to see change. And she's saying, well, Martha is a good asset to this team. Martha, you have to take credit, take a bow because young people are listening. And this young person is telling me I'm going to rally young persons to follow the United Workers' Party because I believe this is the change that we need now. And in closing, the person is saying that we have witnessed budget and budget address over and over. But all money is allocated to the youth. When we go to the places they say the money is, there's always no money.
No money.
So no money. So the person is saying,
that's my point.
Yeah, that's the point. So to your point, you are correct. To your point, you are correct.
Well, that's what I'm telling you. So I'm not sure what I don't know what to expect. I just have to listen because it's the same thing over and over.
I would add as well, you know, it was, I think it was 2 years ago in the budget, the government had allocated land for the young people, right?
Oh, yes.
They said, okay, give people land for $1 a lease. Not one young person has benefited from this.
Not one.
Not one.
Not one.
Persons I've met, that's one of the questions I've been asking. They said, no, we have written, been asked to write. They've written, and they're still waiting. The young men in my constituency extremely frustrated with their PAL rep. They said that they were given false promise that they would get land to work. They want to work, and they're still waiting. So you have this government from time to time making those really desperate appeals in the budget, hoping to catch votes, and at the end of the day, they cannot deliver. And that's a classic example of this, where you promise the young people, knowing the really dire condition of our young people, knowing the fact that they need to find work, and they're saying that they want to, if it's agriculture, they're prepared to do whatever it is to make some money. You promise that they're going to give them land for $1. Lease the land for $1, and not one person can say that they have gotten land under that scheme of the government.
Wow. Yes, yes, and it's a fact. But we also said, while it was a good move for the government to identify certain lands to give young people, we said that there's supposed to be something complementary to it. We said we cannot give people land just to work and do not give them the necessary infrastructure. What we mean is that you cannot give me a piece of land, and in that area I'm experiencing drought, and I do not have irrigation or availability of water. You cannot give me a piece of land. I'm in a wet area, and you're not draining the land. You cannot give me a piece of land, and there is no access. So again, the government, and you cannot give me a piece of land and leave me halfway because I don't know what I'm going to plant. We say to do the necessary analysis, do the market analysis, and identify crop or crops for the person to plant and to sell. They cannot identify market, so they do not want to get trapped where they allocate lands to persons. Yet when those persons plant, they are unable to sell to a direct market. That is some of the constraints they experience, and they will not tell the young people that. But we're thinking ahead. We said, look, it is okay to give land, but it's also okay to complement, to have some complementary package with the land. Not just about land $1 a square foot, $1 an acre, and boasting about it, but it's to make sure we put the necessary some infrastructure in place, and even a credit bureau, and even some credit facility at the respective bank, mainly the bank, where you can have half grant, half loan. So all these things will help, and not that people just come and get money, but you have to draw up what they call a business plan, gets approved, and something feasible, so that when you look at the business plan, you will see that it is going to be, it's a workable plan, it is viable, and it's going to transform the business and to make sure that business is viable. So that's how we want to do business in Dominica, not just pie in the sky. So we have put them on track, and that they realize they have not completed that project. They don't have about a quarter of the idea, but nothing else to finish it, so they have to abandon it. So, Doc, I'm happy you put that perspective on it. We are almost out of time, but let us read some. Doc, somebody asked, before I take next the suggestion, somebody asked, are the non-cash donations candidates part of the revenues? Example, if America donates a boat to the Coast Guard, or China donates, let's say, a vehicle to the government, shouldn't these non-cash items be part of the revenue streams of the government?
I mean, it's not revenue. One could argue, well, it saves you, it substitutes your own revenue. So instead of using your money to buy a police vehicle, then you get that from overseas. But the fact of the matter is, that's not necessarily true. If you do not get it, you will just do without it. All right. So there will be no Coast Guard vessel. It doesn't mean that because you have it from as a gift that it would save. If that was the case, if that was that direct link, then yes. But in the case of this government, maybe not. I would not treat it as revenues, but as a gift, as what it rightly is. It's a gift.
Yes, so we trust your word. You are a well-renowned economist. You know what you're talking about. Somebody saying there, Martha is very brilliant. You can see she has a passion for her people. And, Nep Packet, our very own Nep Packet, saying, during a period when Senkit was receiving extraordinary CBI revenues, estimated at hundreds of millions of dollars, US dollars annually, economist Dr. Thomson Fontaine, drawing on his experience as a senior economist with the International Monetary Fund, provided economic advice to the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, as it confronted both the opportunities and risks associated with exceptionally high CBI revenues. Dominica should have allowed him to do the same for us. Instead, what he did, they were chastising him. Had they Yes. And somebody else is saying territory does not allow young people to work, he has them begging. I would like Thomson to answer this question. How should the government report non-cash donations, such as when a boat is donated? Well, you have dealt with that. I probably have seen it late. Somebody says that agriculture will take Dominica moving forward. I think UWP government will be good in doing market. Can't wait for UWP government to come back to Dominica as a resident. Well, every good thing comes to an end. Martha, people love you. They are saying that they are ready to support the United Workers' Party. You are a breath of fresh air coming on the scene. Dr. Thomson Fontaine is very happy to have had a good slate so far of candidates on list, sort of declared to be associated with his team, and I'm very proud of him, and he's working hard in that regard. Martha, we want to thank you again for joining the team. But in your closing remarks, I think we've touched on a number of pertinent issues, and we'd like to leave some, lasting words with our patrons and those who actually participate in our program. So I will start with you, your parting words, followed by Dr. Thomson Fontaine.
Okay, so I did not at the beginning, because of the little hiccup we had in starting off, I did not shout out my people in Roseau South.
Oh, certainly.
Shout them out.
Power to the people of Roseau South.
Power to the people of Roseau South, and even my team that are there behind me, and cheering me on. You can get this thing. Go ahead and do it. I just want to shout them out tonight. But on a serious note, I want to encourage Dominicans, especially the young people, to take care of your health. Take care of your health. Eat well. Exercise. You know, because we have a serious drug problem in Dominica. These are that is the substance of Dominica. And it seems like the substance is on the streets of Roseau, you know, helpless, hopeless. And these are, you know, young people. We want to change that on the United Workers' Party. We really want to focus on the health of our young people that are, and I'm sure Dr. Thomson will agree with me on that. We want to really change this. I want to also encourage everyone as we go there tonight to say, go and get confirmed. Go and be confirmed. Don't wait for the last hour. You may regret it. Right now, we're saying, boy, I don't know if I want to do this. I fed up with that. I give up. No. Confirm. Anything can happen between now and then. Confirm. Let your voice be heard. Okay, it's important. This is your power. This is where your power lies. By going to confirm and making that X and putting it against the UWP when the next election is called, because we are ready to do better for you because you deserve better. So go get confirmed. And at the same time, I want to remind my Roseau South constituency that we are beginning our fundraising event as of this Friday night.
Wow.
In Newtown, opposite the Rubens Bakery. We are going to be serving you wonderful barbecues, grilled chicken, not chicken and fish, bakes and okra. Come out and support the movement because we're in this together. We're doing this together. It's not about the candidate. It's about us, Dominicans, Roseau South. And I look forward. Come and just hang out with us. Talk with us. Let us know how you feel. We'll let you know how we feel. Let us roll together. So Roseau South, yes, I love my people.
Well, you know, powerful Martha. Everybody said yes, Martha, all the way. Good program and everything else. And, you know, it's amazing that, you know, people have a passion for what they do. And, Doc, I know you are proud. You have been working very hard. People don't know. I know what kind of person you are. Very patient, very tolerant, but you are decisive. And people don't test people. It's not the loud talking that's all about leadership. Leadership is about doing what you have to do, being focused, and doing what you have to do for Dominica. And we are very proud of you in doing this. And we know we have been patient all along, and you have asked Dominicans to be patient with you and the United Workers' Party team. Everything is all behind us. We are moving forward, full shuttle. Dr. Thomson, Fontaine, your closing remarks.
Well, so it has been an honor to be with you tonight, as well as Martha, you know, one of our newer candidates. And it's, as you said, it's a breath of fresh air. People are extremely happy and pleased with what they see that she brings to the table. So we're very happy that she's part of that team. And it's just the beginning. We are continuing to unfold our candidates, and in the next few weeks we'll be having more big surprises we don't make it public. But I can tell you this, so we are looking for persons with competence who care deeply about this country and who have agreed to devote their effort and their energies to bringing change to Dominica. So it's a very exciting time for the party. We continue to build the momentum as people hang on to our promises within the 10 pillar of shared prosperity. But when they begin to see such professionals who are signing up, who are signing in to be part of this team, and like I said, we're going to have some more big surprises in the next couple of weeks. And so when they realize the quality of the candidates that we're able to attract, they will understand that we're very serious about bringing that change. They will understand that we're very serious about that team that we speak about, that team in Dominica coming together like this, men, women, young people with experience, with youthfulness, but also with competence. And to me, that is a great start for us. It's a great platform on which to continue to build. And we're very happy to have you, Martha. Thank you for being
Thank you.
Hand up for Dominica and for
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Doctor, You know, it is interesting as we there, Danny, Brother Luge is on, and Brother Luge is saying Doc is very focused. And as we on this, we want to tell, when you see the Dominicans, Roseau South, you know, Danny is enough for Roseau South. The man is the plan in his hand, and you should actually exercise your franchise. As Martha said earlier, putting the X next to the saw. So you'll be putting the X next to the saw, next to Danny Luge's name. The saw, that is the only candidate that will take you through your burdens and to ensure to represent your best interests. So we say to the patrons of Roseau South, don't be fooled. You cannot give up what you have. This government strategy is to take what you have, your power, and then dump you. If you give up that power, then you have nothing else to lean on. So you cannot give it up. You have to let them struggle for it, and they will not get it. So Brother Luge is your man. Is enough for Roseau South.
Man enough for Roseau South.
Man enough for Roseau South. So let me say one thing.
Excellent candidates. Yes.
Oh, yes, certainly a lot of excitement. So both Doc, Martha, let me say thank you again for gracing your presence on Real Talk. Dr. Thomson, it has been a pleasure to have you, and to all the patrons who have been viewing and to participate. We say thank you to those listeners and to those who continue to encourage us. We say until next time, this has been Real Talk. Have a good night. May God bless.
Thank you. God bless.
Good night.
Okay.
Right.